I'm just going to talk about kind of my really non-predictable path to aerospace coming from a small town art background. For Stearns, I draw everywhere, and I work at Planet Labs. So I'm an illustrator and a fine artist, and sometimes both at the same time. And you know, most people don't know the difference between illustration and fine art, and some people will fight that there is a difference, and some people will fight me to say that there is a difference. So it's a very interesting battle. And illustration and fine art, it usually just comes down to presentation. You know, you guys are all wearing beautiful ties, you know, and someone designed your ties. Nice draft tie. You know, there's a painting right here that someone painted. There's cabinets right here that someone made. There's these beautiful flags that someone designed. Everything in here, the camera right there, was designed by a designer. You know, it's hard to get away from it, and it's hard to know that the presentation is totally necessary. Even that cool clock from the 40s. So this is my lab. This is my office right now, and I'm sorry that my slides, the work, sorry, I can't even speak for that. So thank you, PowerPoint from Keynote. Thanks, PC. So I think that the biggest important thing that we can come away with this is connecting the hand of the artist to the hand of the engineer. Right? This is my laboratory at Planet Labs. I am in charge, I'm the art director, and I direct the Artist in Residence program. You're looking at a satellite that I'm holding. We've launched over 100 of them, and I get to put my artwork on them and work with a team of artists that has created the largest outward-facing art show in space ever, which is totally surreal. You know, and every industry needs art. This is a commercial I did for Deviant Art for Microsoft, you know, that I illustrated and they animated. And so, you know, artists are storytellers. We're the illuminators of the ideas. We help anyone sell anything. So when there's a bad economy, everyone's trying to sell something. So we are the ones who show up and say, hey, how can we help you help everyone? Here's an example. You know, a good friend of mine, Pete Warden, heads the NASA Ames facility. And I did an illustration for him when he came into my company and sat down. And he's referencing my illustration that I did, frequently talking about swords to plowshares and, you know, changing the old aerospace world into the new aerospace world where aerospace helps people. You know, beautiful, just getting in there as an artist. You know, the creative economy is very interesting. Everyone's selling something, right? And the artists grab the audience's senses and lead them through the experience. You know, here's a web advertisement that I'm doing, and it absolutely has, it smacks you in the face. It needs to, for this intention. Here's a very good example of a partner of mine, Ben Davis, you know, taking something that's been there for a long time that just needed a little differentiation, needed to be interesting again. You know, he did the Bay Lights project, and it took this bridge that was, you know, second rate that everybody in this room's driven over many times and not really looked at, and made it the most epic thing to look at in San Francisco. Amazing. So society needs creativity to stay human, just like people who are selling things need creativity to sell things. So this is my current canvas. Like I said, this is a Dove satellite. I actually brought you guys some satellites that I made out of paper because you can't afford a real satellite. And totally amazing to work as an illustrator in technology and aerospace. This is my current art show, you know, deploying satellites from the International Space Station, you know, a publicly funded NASA project. And so here it is. My jaw drops when I see this. And yeah. So he's going to give you one of these satellites just so you can hold it and keep it. And feel free to open it up and read about it. So nice text. Investing in the future. You know, talking, sorry, fellow designers, I'm sorry. This is, you know, a really good example of infiltrating the Silicon Valley venture capitalist ecosystem and being a live artist, going to their facilities and drawing pieces live. And in the middle of their meetings, I would like to be here drawing for you guys. And starting with nothing and ending with a 4x6 foot canvas of lunar settlement and the bajillions of dollars that are going to go into this. And notice how I added the artist to the ecosystem, because you have to take culture to the moon or else you don't have a culture on the moon. I also really believe that diversity is inspiring to everyone. It will benefit everyone. I started an artist in residence program at the aerospace company, and I think that everyone should start an artist in residence program at any business. You guys should have an artist here all the time. You know, talking with you guys, bringing out creativity, and you guys talking to the artist and helping them adapt and learn and to work it into their work. This is an artist from Tokyo that I brought out for 2 months on just the Planet Labs project, and she brought something to my company that I could never have done because I am from here. She's from there, and since then we've brought in so much diversity that it blows everyone's mind. You know, and I'm not just an illustrator at an aerospace company because that would be boring. I grew up freelancing. I've been an illustrator for 20 years. So I'm making art cars for venture capitalists for the Playa, for Burning Man. You guys may have heard of Burning Man. It's actually a pretty big art-centric experience. I urge you all to go, maybe. And
Field trip.
Field trip. What up? Next meeting. So, you know, freelancing takes you everywhere. Everywhere that art rubs against culture, it will take you. I've done giant murals. I've done the smallest of work. I do 3D renderings. I go to startups and I draw chalk drawings with friends that celebrate their history and their lineage. Because people care about art. You know, sometimes you do a funny piece of art that you really dedicate to and put a lot of meaning into, and then your client goes, let's change it because I don't like dogs, when they asked you for a dog. You didn't read my mind. So you have to be agile because things change. So this drawing turned into this drawing, which you saw previously, and this was the advertisement for a, I think, 30 million user drawing tool on DeviantArt, you know, and I got to draw the illustration for it. So this was my heart going to all of those artists, inspiring them to do art. Pretty much blew my mind. So, you know, going back from that, we've talked about education a lot here, and I think that education comes on two scopes. There's the academic education, and then there's the empirical education. And I came from a small town, so I wasn't college material in school. You know, I was told via teachers that I wasn't on the college track, I wasn't college material. But my parents always said, you know, if you want to do something, figure out how to go to college. You know, figure out, you'll be excited. So I went to junior college first, found my way through that, then realized that I really liked people who were getting educated because they were stoked on themselves and stoked on being there. And so I went to undergrad, and then I went to graduate school, and in graduate school I learned technique. And I'll talk about undergrad in a minute. I'm kind of going backwards on purpose. So I learned technique, learned how to draw realistically, learned how to resonate with my audience. I learned how to make you look where I want you to look in a piece, to tell a story, to narrate, to sell an idea rather than a widget. You know, sell ideas to kids, sell ideas to adults. It's all the same. You know, whether it's fun or whether it's intense or whether it's technical. You know, you have to have diverse techniques and a skill set and be agile in your art, or else no one will hire you. You know, in an undergrad, before I learned really good technique, I got permission to do artwork. I was part of a team. I brought together a diverse range of people, and we had an art show every single month. And this was up in Eureka, where you were talking about. I went to Humboldt State. You know, and in Eureka, Art's Alive every Saturday. You know, a really small town that really prides itself on being an artist community. And unfortunately, it's a lot of barn painters that paint barns on Sundays, which I love painting barns on Sundays. But, you know, it doesn't necessarily pay the bills for young people to be out painting all the barns. So, you know, build a team that builds community. That's crucial. So everyone should be supporting the arts as much as going out and doing art. You know, and then a step back. Like, we've all talked about the arts in schools. Sending artists to work in schools is crucial. My mother's an art educator, so I go to her school in Jamestown, California, where I grew up in Tuolumne County, you know, and teach them. You'll notice on the back wall, I set up a big piece of paper because they couldn't afford anything else, and I drew the types of characters that they wanted to see. And every kid that was there in the after-school program, you know, these kids can't afford lunch, but they're out there and they were loving the art, and they all took it home. And every time I go visit from years since then, they all tell me how I taught them how to draw, just in this 1 hour presentation. You know, so crucial. You know, send a passionate artist to schools. Don't just make the teachers teach them, because teachers have a lot on their plate. You know, send stoked, inspired people to teach kids, and it will rub off on them. You know, and it doesn't just go for young kids either. You know, here's an example. This was my art teacher who taught me in undergrad, and this is his mother who was in her 90s, and she came to one of my art shows and bought a painting of a skateboarder, a giant painting of a skateboarder doing a big jump, because my painting made her feel like she was flying. So she was an amazing artist, an avid painter, and she took that inspiration back to her studio and made art. So, you know, we talked about that mid-culture bringing art to the workforce that may not have been educated in it. It's crucial in all ages. You know, so point being, you can't see the first word. We need to keep investing in the creative diversity, education, industry, community. I work in tech. It's amazing to be an illustrator in tech. I don't go and work at my company because I get to speak art all the time. They don't necessarily speak my language. They are passionate and they're amazing and they do what they do and they show up and they are trying to save the world, and I love that. So mixing an artist in with a passionate team is awesome for me. And so, you know, build creative economy for me meant shifting gears from preaching to the choir. You know, we all love arts here, and we're all here, and this is only a 50-person room, you know, but there's a gajillion people outside that aren't part of this conversation. So artists need to know how to shift gears from the art conversation into the other conversations where these people know they love art and they know they need art, but they have no idea how to articulate getting it. So that's on us to put art in their eyes, in their pockets, in their coffee shops, in their houses, wherever. You know, so my last slide, here's a series I did with my team. I asked them to give me inspiring quotes from their world because I really wanted to get these engineers in space. This is a side panel of a satellite. And so, you know, this one is do good work always. So, yeah, take that with you. You guys are doing great work. Thank you. Tell your whole entire team to support the arts, everyone who's in the legislature. And thank you guys. So go practice.
Thank you.